I have a 360 controller, which works really well with Windows. So whenever I play anything on that, I use that. But I have a Razer mouse.
I feel like we have to leave that in the cut.
He got deleted, dude.
Welcome to the Cable Club. We're a retro video gaming podcast where three guys get to pick a starter for their rival first, and we're linking up to talk about the games you love and rank them. This is episode number 35. We're your hosts. I'm Steve.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Don.
And I'm here with all these gentlemen, and my wife is here too. Say hi.
Hello.
Special Valentine's Day guest.
Kissy, kissy.
I got her flowers.
The only one of our wives that plays video games.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this week's episode is our 9th League episode, and the entry is Eternal Darkness. So get ready to upload data from us to you, but first, set the mood.
Easy there. I'm going to get the spray bottle if you get out of hand, all right?
Set the mood.
You too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bout. All right. It's the year 2002, and it's 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning. You've been up so long now, you feel as if you're in a drunken stupor. Things have started to slow down for you, as they normally do after staying up for God knows how long. The pizza and the Mountain Dew are tapped out, just like you. You're playing this interesting game that you just picked up. All of a sudden, you seem to hear a woman crying. You pause your game and you listen very closely, thinking to yourself, is someone crying in real life? But you cease to hear it, so you unpause your game and get back to it. Little changes start happening all over. You feel like your reality starts to unravel. Your screen is now tilted, enemies are acting strangely, all kinds of strange stuff. Once you dispatch them, it's now time to save your game and get some sleep. All of a sudden, your game starts to delete all of your save files. Panicked, you watch as the bar fills up. But, to your relief, it saves your game and doesn't delete it. You're still wondering why this is all happening. You feel like you're losing your mind, and you aren't sure if it's just the game or the state of sleep deprivation you've put yourself in. Playing scary games alone in the dark, not knowing what's going to happen around every corner. Once you finally fell asleep, your dreams were just as unnerving and strange, but it all just made you more excited for tomorrow night, for more Eternal Darkness.
Definitely is a vibe.
For sure is.
Whole
Definitely.
game. Well, I'm excited to get into that. But before we do, I have a couple of announcements for you. So the one and only announcement that I have is that, because I'm tired of talking about the website that we have up that you could go visit, www.thecableclub.com, if you're curious about the league standings or want to hear more about the league or figure out how to enter yourself. But I'm not going to talk about that. Instead, I'm going to talk about the fight night that we've been challenged to by the Switcheroo podcast. So I don't know if this is going to be a candid reaction from you guys, because I haven't talked to you guys about this, I think, almost at all. But JMO wants us to enter a fight night with his Discord and get fighters from our Discord. And that's going to take place on March 16th, which is a Sunday. I'm going to block some time out. And there's going to be 3 events. So if you, listener, are a member of our Discord or haven't become one yet and want to become one and come fight for the Cable Club, there are some stakes involved that involve one podcast writing the other's outro.
Oh, wow.
So every time a Cable Club member wins, we will score a point, and every time a Switcheroo podcast member wins, they will score a point, and there's going to be 3 different events. There's going to be Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, which we played on this podcast, and I think we just kind of woke JMO up from a very long sleep. He
That's
realized he likes.
That's like home field advantage for him.
Yep, but also Marvel vs. Capcom, which I don't think is anybody's cup of tea so far, although I've been playing a little bit of it. And Super Smash Brothers. We're going to do a poll in our Discord on whether it's going to be Super Smash Ultimate or Melee. But basically, we have 2 votes for Melee. We have 2 votes for Ultimate and 1 vote for Melee so far. So that's a score to beat. I'm personally rooting for Melee because I have more fun with the game, but I'll play either. So keep your eye out for that. And the time of day is TBA. We're still figuring it out. So check the Discord often for updates if you are interested in playing.
Mm-hmm.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. All right, Dan, take us away for question of the week.
Alrighty. Question of the week comes from our good man Hux. He says, forget the console wars. What accessory brands are you brand loyal to and why? Which accessory categories? Controllers, cables, docks, screen protectors, etc. All right. Guest of the show, LadyLyshi. You want to take us off?
We don't really buy off name brands.
Well, lottie-dottie.
I know. I've always been that way, I guess. We just, buy Nintendo, Xbox.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I guess for me, if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Logitech. But I don't actively seek Logitech, but I do like their stuff. They're pretty reliable, durable, and I just like the apps that it comes with, because it's just anytime you have something plugged in, the app can figure it out, and it knows what you have plugged in. So it's just if you have a bunch of stuff that consolidates it all into that one app, and you can fine tune all the options with whatever you got plugged in. But other than that, I just kind of just buy like what Alicia said. I'll just buy Xbox and whatnot, or Nintendo. I'm not crazy into off-brand stuff.
Yeah, and as far as I go, I have a 360 controller, which works really well with Windows. So whenever I play anything on that, I use that. But I have a Razer mouse.
I feel like we have to leave that in the cut.
He got deleted, dude.
Well, like I said, I have a Razer mouse, and I have a SteelSeries keyboard. Those are pretty much the only off-brand type things that I have. I don't do a whole lot of the peripherals and stuff.
So as I often do with these questions of the week, I'm going to begin with a story, and it's the evolution of the off-brand controller. Because back in the day, when I had my Sega Genesis, I don't know how much controllers went for back then because my parents bought them, so I really didn't care. So on occasion, a relative or something would buy one for us, and we'd get it, and we'd bring it home, and it'd be these fat, pathetic, Mad Catz controllers. would have been the big one, where you get 2 hours out of that thing and a button breaks, and then it's relegated to the second player for when your friend comes over, and you give him that crap, and you're trying to play a co-op game, and he can't jump, and you're oh, sorry, man, that's all I got. And they always had turbo buttons for some reason. All those crappy off-brand controllers had turbo buttons. And then that Mad Catz brand stayed around for a while. I don't know if they're still making things. They don't deserve to be. It was like Temu for the 90s. But they made if you could imagine the N64 controller gets worse, imagine it 5.5 inches thick with no, I don't know what.
Did you just say?
What do you want to call
5.5 inches?
Yeah, no, I'm serious. You'd grip this thing like a 4-stack cheeseburger. All right, you
It's
gotta
a fight stick.
Why they needed all that space, I have no idea. It was the size of the actual of a Wii, probably. But nowadays, I actually think third-party controllers are better than some of the first-party stuff. So I'm looking at the Switch, for instance, and we all know that those Joy-Cons are like god awful, right? But then there's the like real nice. I'm failing to remember the name right now, but like the GameCube Joy-Cons, the ones that are really popular. Have you seen those? It's basically like a GameCube controller split in half into Joy-Cons, really high quality, Hall sensor joysticks, all that stuff, right? And it slides into the Joy-Con spots. So when you play handheld, it's like a GameCube controller.
Yeah, I have something similar. I think it's called, I want to say it's Hori, like Hori, and it's just it's what I have, and it's I love it. The only thing I don't like about it is for some reason like the Switch doesn't recognize like the controllers as like, so with the Switch you can actually like swap the buttons around and stuff like in the config. For some reason it doesn't recognize it with the Horis.
I know that
which is kind of unfortunate.
the bulk of the Super Mario 64 speedrunning community uses a Hori N64 controller mostly.
Yeah, I really want one, but I don't know if they're still being made, and they're kind of expensive when you go to buy them from third-party sellers. We'll call them scalpers. But I think my favorite third-party stuff right now currently comes from 8BitDo. I think their controllers are really, really great for the price that they cost. I have like this 8BitDo Pro controller. It's over there. I can't quite reach it, but it has two nice Hall sensor joysticks. It comes with its own little stand that just stays plugged in, so when it has to recharge, I just pop it on there to recharge it. It's not Bluetooth. It has a dongle, but that just I feel like that makes it have less lag. Like whatever signal it's throwing back and forth, it has a lot.
I have a
lag.
dongle.
Yeah.
For my wireless stuff, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. That's exactly what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, third-party stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know about 8BitDo until you guys like started talking about it this week in the Discord, and I was looking at their website, and yeah, a lot of that stuff looks pretty legit.
I haven't looked at the website.
Like I kind of want to like buy some stuff from there. Like you you can customize and stuff too.
Do they have
crazy.
like original style controllers to USB? Because I want to get like an NES, a Super Nintendo, an N64, all the USB that I can plug into my computer and play games with like the traditional feeling controllers.
Yeah, that's their wheelhouse. Really, they set out to replicate that hardware or make it better.
That is something that I'm interested in.
Yep, very, very nice. So those are our answers. How about yours? Go ahead, Dan. I'm not going to steal your thunder.
All right. So first answer comes from Wingard. He says, again, I love 8BitDo. They're my favorite third-party controller by far. Yeah, after like I said, like after looking on the website, I can't complain. Like I want the Super Nintendo one with the analog sticks. Looks sick.
Oh, it's like a Super Nintendo with two little analog sticks at the bottom, like PlayStation 2 style.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
It's legit.
All right, and then Relica. Back in the day, Mad Catz made the best Xbox controllers, and I bought those over the Xbox brand. Rip, though, because I don't think they exist anymore. Nowadays, the only things that come to mind is my Logitech G-Series mouse. I've had 3 generations of it, and I probably won't and can't find anything that works as well and has the features I want. Mad Catz. That's all I gotta say about that.
They deserve what they got. Maybe they were fine with Xbox original controllers, because wasn't the original Xbox controller like terrible? Didn't they call it like the Duke or something?
Oh, that thing was
like
pretty
big
bulky.
giant.
Yeah, you want to talk about a Wii size controller? There you go.
It's big.
All right, and the final answer I have is from Lobaka. He says, maybe Prima strategy guides, but I can't really justify why.
They were kind of neat. It was like, so one of the cool things about strategy guides, in my opinion, was you got to bring them to school. So like, you can't play the game at school, obviously, unless it's a handheld game. So I had an Ocarina of Time strategy guide, and I just thumb through it and look at the pictures and all that while on like, break or lunch or whatever it was. And that was the coolest thing,
Yeah, I'd rather read that or like look at that than read a book any day.
I gotta save Zelda and get the Triforce, man.
I have no experience with strategy guides. None.
Yeah, I didn't really own too many myself, if ever, really.
We had ones for like Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie. My brother and I read them every day.
So one of the cool things about the Banjo-Kazooie guidebook was that it had like a topographic, like bird's eye view look of the levels, and it would show you where all the notes were, and it would show you where to start the jiggy quests and like all that stuff, and it was pretty neat. I liked that one.
Oh, you know what I did have actually, and it came in the battle chest for like StarCraft. They had like the I don't know if they were Prima guys, but they had like the big fat books with like a bunch of walkthroughs in it and stuff, and a bunch of pictures and arts. I remember looking at that over like a summer vacation.
Like build orders and stuff.
Yeah, like build orders and like it would, if you played the the campaign, it would tell you like, you know, what the enemy would throw at you first and whatnot. But
It's
yeah,
kinda cool.
it was pretty cool to look at. Yeah,
All right, everybody ready? Turn off the lights. Get in the spooky mood.
I'm getting kind of
On
scared,
Valentine's
guys.
Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting.
Whoa.
All right, so as mentioned already, our game this week is Eternal Darkness. And as is tradition on the League, we're going to kick it over to our guest, LadyLyshi, to give us an overview of this game.
So, Eternal Darkness is a kind of a horror thriller game based off of the creatures of H.P. Lovecraft. And it plays into a lot of different types of horror. You have 12 playable characters, and you have to go through this book trying to figure out what happened to your grandfather. It's a lot of baggage.
We're okay with a little bit of baggage. I mean,
Everybody's got some, right?
it's 2025. You know, everybody's got a little.
It's kind of like a I feel like it's reminiscent of I'd say more so Silent Hill than Resident Evil series, just because this one is not known for its garbage camera angles and you know, tank controls.
It's fair.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So there is combat in the game, but it is almost more like an exploration style game with some combat, and it relies heavily on horror elements, but there aren't a lot of jump scares. It's a lot more like a psychological horror type game.
So how did you find this game, Alicia?
So, my brother is 2 years older than me, and he got this. I don't know if he picked it up or if he got it for his birthday. And my mom was like, "You can't play that." And, hold on, hold my yoo-hoo. We're gonna play that. To this day, he and I still talk about it. When actually you got it for me for Christmas, I sent a picture to my brother, and he was like, "I hate you." So, it's more than just I really like this game. It's something that my brother and I did together.
Did you guys ever get like scared of the game? Because I know like when you were like when we were younger as kids, like games like that, well, you know, were kind of scary. So I'm just wondering if you guys were like kind of afraid when playing certain parts of that.
I mean, yes and no.
Not really.
I was
Yeah.
like almost 13 when it came out. I mean, I'm older than you guys, so. But
Yep. Fair enough.
I mean, this game's more like atmospheric, I think. A little bit kind of like Resident Evil, except without the jump scares.
Yeah, absent jump scares, things tend to be a lot more on like the spooky side, but not like the scary side.
yeah,
Like it's like you can feel the tension, but there isn't a lot of release of that tension. And the release of the tension is what like people jump about when the killer jumps out on screen at you. That's the release of everything. In this, it's just kind of like there. You know what I mean?
Horror blue balls.
the real
Well,
killer.
it could be green or red balls, depending on.
The real killer is there's no music in this game. So,
Oh wait, I actually was going to bring this up because the music in the mansion, when you play in the past, I think it's like the 5th chapter, you play as like the chubby guy with the
Yeah.
powdered wig.
Yeah.
The music in the mansion slaps. That track is awesome.
it's
by
the
way.
only one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember it. I'm gonna have to go back.
You'll have
and
to post it
check
for the
that out.
people, for the listeners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fresh in my mind. But it's so cool to meet someone who is an OG fan of this game, because I went looking for some information and it was wildly unpopular. Like, it sold less than 500 copies. So the original story was that it was going to be made and released in the year 2000 for the N64, if you could believe it, right? And then Nintendo was like, no. Like, we want this to showcase the new stuff coming out. This will be the perfect, game for it, to show that, like, we're not just for kids kind of thing, keeping up with like the PS2 edginess, right? So they made the developers like heel turn and have to redo all the visuals and stuff and into the high poly figures for a release on the GameCube in 2002. And not only did this game sell poorly during its own run, but the creator Dyack,
Yeah, something like that.
Dyack. So he actually tried twice to crowdfund a sequel and failed. 2 different Kickstarter campaigns.
Wow.
But then you look at the reviews of the game, like player reviews, and they're great.
Yeah, it's a cult classic. It just got there way too late.
Yeah, so the weird thing is, it does feel a lot like an N64 game, and I didn't know that piece of trivia until you said it. But like, I could totally place it there.
Yeah, because I looked at it too, and I did see that it was supposed to be for the 64, and it does feel like that. Like, especially like the combat, I want to say, like, definitely feels like N64-ish.
Not that like totally detracts, because I love the N64, but like, it's a surprise for me because it feels like it. That's really cool trivia.
Yeah. I remember like playing as Pius and like actually fighting the zombies, and I just going through with the combat. I was like, "Oof, this is a yikes."
Yeah, because you can't.
But
you gotta stay in one spot.
Well, but the thing is though, like a lot of the combat, I feel like, comes from the spells. Like they really did. In my opinion, I think they did a fair good job on the spell department in this game.
Oh, yeah, Alicia, go ahead and tell us about the spells.
Well, there's a lot of them. You technically don't even need the scrolls for them. As long as you want to play around right? with the runes. You need the runes in the codex. I did that, actually.
Yeah, because it'll give you like a question mark if you figure it out, but you don't have the scroll. I actually did that for one of the spells.
So like, if you were speedrunning this game right in the beginning, every single time you get a scroll, you could just make a bunch of new spells.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I actually played every alignment before we filmed now, and one.
You mean in the last 2 weeks?
Last 4 days.
Wow.
She went ham.
I finished the first one with Steve. I don't know.
It was like the first week of January.
Yeah. And then I did 2 in the last week because I wanted the alternate ending. But one of my saves, I think I'm missing 2 scrolls.
Yeah. Oh, really? I actually lucked out. I actually found them all on my first playthrough. I was like, wow.
Well, you say that, and this game is actually infamous for another reason. If you go looking at forums, you'll find either people that love it or people that are so angry because apparently you can accidentally miss a pretty critical rune that you need to progress.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is
at some point in the game, like mid to late, right? And if you don't get it, you can't go back, and if you don't create multiple saves, you just are now soft locked.
Is that really
progressing? Yeah, I mean it's not an easy thing to miss because you guys played this game. The environments are not large, and they do a pretty good job at showing you that an enemy has a rune in it. It's like if you missed it, you were just, I guess, rushing and not paying attention. It's to explore this game is not a huge ask. I feel.
Yeah, he's talking about the Mantarok rune, right?
No, a rune like Pargon or Tyr or yeah.
Oh no, I'm talking about
Yeah,
alignment.
no,
Yeah,
not
never
not
mind.
the essence, but the um
Oh, I wonder which one that is. I'm curious.
I believe it's
It must be one that you don't have to use right away.
Tyr.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a summoning one,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you,
No.
Alicia?
I've
No.
beaten it 5 times since it came out. And that's never happened to me.
yeah, and the game isn't extremely long either. We took our time the first time that we played it together, and we got there in like 11 hours, and we got like everything. We got the enchanted gladius at the end. We got all the runes. We got
Effigies.
like everything. So 12 hours, not too long.
Yeah, I got all that stuff too. I probably beat it, I would say like 15, 16 hours. My first time playing it. Yeah, but like I want to like talk about like some of what some of the spells do. Like so like you get like an enchant spell that like just enhances like whatever weapon you have, and it
And
like
fixes things.
yeah, and will fix it. Then you get like your magic like AoE abilities, and it changes element depending on which essence you have equipped. You can like reveal stuff. You can put a shield on yourself.
Summon creature.
What else? Summon creatures. You can dispel magic like force fields and
Control
whatnot.
creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the bind spell. And then I want to say if you ever get like the extra essence, the Mantarok. I don't know if you guys like messed around with like the reveal invisible under Mantarok, where it just turns your character completely invisible and enemies just cannot like hit you at all.
So that only works once you have the essence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember like casting it because I just I think I was like stuck somewhere, so I was just like casting like reveal invisible under all the essences. And I noticed that I turned my character invisible, and literally, like, you can just go through the whole game without any enemies like hitting you. The only enemies that can see you are bosses, but that's it. And it's funny because it's like on some bosses they'll spawn ads, and when they spawn, they'll just sit there and do nothing.
Fine.
One thing that we
That's
haven't
great.
really touched on is that in this game you have 3 different kinds of elements. There's a 4th one, but it's aside from the other 3, and the 3 play like a rock paper scissors style. And that's why in the beginning of the show I said where 3 guys get to pick the starter for their rival. Because the easiest way for me to remember it is that green beats blue like grass beats water, and red beats green like fire beats grass, and blue beats red like water beats fire. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think all the gods' names are like, Charthulu and Squirtle Rock and
Chaturga,
Yeah.
Uliath,
Yeah.
and Zelatah.
And then you
Yes.
got Mantarok,
Right.
which beats all of them.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, another
not at
spell.
the beginning.
Another spell, magical pool. It's called like magic pool, where like regions like your HP and stuff would like depending on your essence. Like Mantarok will give you all 3.
Mhm.
Will give you like magic, your sanity, and
that's so
health.
good.
It's just
Mantarok will
it's
also
so
poison your
broken.
enemies.
Yeah, enchant weapon mana rock. Yeah, it sticks a poison on them or like a damage over time
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah, I'm team Mantarok for sure.
It's like saying your team
Well, see,
ultimate armor.
you want to know what
Oh,
the
yeah.
best part about all of this Pokemon relations to the color elements are? Mantarok's purple, and Psychic in Gen 1 was so broken.
It's like that Big Daddy quote from the kid. And he's like, "I win." What do you mean you win? It's I win.
So the game itself, you start as a character named Alex, and she's looks like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she goes to Rhode Island, which is where I'm from, which is awesome, to go visit her rich dead uncle's mansion. And I guess he's been turned into a human sock puppet or something
He's got no
under the
head.
blanket. Yeah, but also it looks like he's been chopped up a little bit too. But so she is going around the mansion and she's finding the pages of this like skin book, kind of like the Necronomicon, basically. And every time she finds a page, you play through a flashback. And the first one, you play as like a Roman centurion. Would that be a way to say it? Or like
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a general or something. He's like some higher up military guy.
You know, he's got the man chest plate, and he's got the
barbet.
helmet with the little table brush on it. You know, like he's one of those. This game does not deviate very far from movie stereotypes, like in any way, shape, or form, in true Lovecraftian style. So he goes through this temple to find an artifact, and he stumbles upon the 3 different essences which correspond to the gods that Alicia mentioned. And I'm not sure what it changes about the story. I didn't even know I was picking one. I just walked up to one, and it happened to be the red one, which I think is Chaturga. And he turns into a skeleton guy, and I guess that becomes, and he's the main antagonist of the whole game, it feels like.
Pretty much, yeah.
But does that change how your characters interact? Because I felt like I had more health than... So like the resources in this game are health, I guess mana or magic, and sanity. And in that order, they all correspond to the colors of the gods. So because I picked red, did I have more health than I would have if I had picked another red?
So I don't know if you have more, but the zombies that you produce are red and they hit harder.
Yeah, so basically, like, the main challenge of the game comes in a strength of one of the 3, or I guess you would say, like, more common of that type. So if you pick Chaturga, like you did, then a lot of the skeletons and enemies are going to be red enemies, and they're going to deal more HP damage. Yeah, if you picked Zelatoth green for Pious, then those enemies are going to deal more sanity damage on top of regular damage, but then, you know, your sanity is going to go faster. Or if he picks blue Ulioth, they're going to damage your magic, so that it's harder to heal and harder to do stuff. So, but it also changes some other stuff.
The cutscenes. They tell a different story.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Is he just trying to summon a god, like whichever alignment it is? It's just a different god, but is it like a totally different story if you pick a different alignment?
The characters all appear in the same order, but the cutscenes have different dialogue, and there's a boss fight like maybe 3/4 the way through the game.
One at the end.
And, well, the one at the end is cutscene difference, but the boss that you fight 3/4 the way through is different depending on the one that you pick with Pious.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the boss that you fight, is that the one with, I'm trying to remember, is his name Peterson or something?
Yeah.
Peter Jacobs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I actually think, I remember like Steve asked this question in Discord, and he says, what alignment did you guys pick? I completely forgot. Like, I actually had to look it up because I didn't know what he was talking about at first. And then I was like, oh, that's what it was. And I said I picked green. I don't think I picked green. I actually picked red because I think when you save the game, it has like the little symbol, and mine was red.
So you got to fight Chaturga where he shoots his tongue out like a frog and he can grab you and eat you.
Oh yeah. Yep. Oh dude, that boss was kind of annoying because it was like you had to like time like your magic spell like as he was casting. It was just I was having a hard time with it.
So the combat in this game at first before you get spells, I think is rough.
Yeah.
It is.
So
I
forget who I was playing. Oh, it was the. So you play as a different character every single page. I think I didn't actually beat it. I got to chapter 7.
You do play a different character every time.
So it's the second page where you play as the guy who's trying to warn the Archbishop. I keep forgetting his name. Anthony. Yeah, that guy. And he gets the claymore. So I know it's more realistic, but I hate it when games do this. When your sword hits the wall and prevents you from attacking.
Oh yeah.
So like what ended up happening to me was like I got stuck in a really narrow hallway with this thing, and it was so narrow that even my regular sword, like the enemies like boxed me into a corner, and no matter which way I turned, I could not swing this thing. And they were just like wailing on me, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. The good thing about that character is you can die as him, and it's not a game
It's
over.
true.
Yeah, I found that out.
There was
Yeah.
one time when I was Maximilian Roivas, and
Yeah,
I
the
was
old man.
with the powdered wig, and I was stuck in the pantry, and the maids wouldn't let me out, and they killed me by punching me in the face.
Every time she go to swing her sword, it would clang against canned goods.
You just pull out the flintlocks and blow them away.
I think we tried.
I don't know.
Either
I was
that,
too
they
busy
killed me
laughing
too
at
fast.
Yeah, I was too busy laughing at the misfortune of Maximilian Roivas in the pantry with the flesh. What is it called? Those enemies, skin walkers.
The
or
bone
something?
thief.
Bone thieves. Yeah.
Yeah. You know who had
Those probably the creepiest.
You know who had like a kind of like anticlimactic death? I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, but it's like the Pope,
Oh,
the guy with the
Paul
mace.
Paul
Luther.
Luther.
Yeah, yeah. Like so, like I was fighting the was it Chat Churga,
Yeah.
whatever, and then like he just goes doosh and one shots him. I'm like, well,
That cutscene's different depending on the god that you pick too. If you're fighting against Zelatoth, the Sanity one, your head explodes.
Mm-hmm.
oh
Yep.
yeah,
And Uliath,
Nice.
it's this big jellyfish-like character with 3 legs, and it just steps on you.
yeah. It's just like no fight back, no nothing. It's just like quick and done. Pius is like delete him, and he's just like the boss is like consider it
He
done.
goes, "This is
One shot.
boring. Delete."
No, delete's not funny. That story Steve told about it deletes all your saves. I was trying to finish. I finished with 4 minutes to spare before we started filming, and it told me it deleted all my games. And I texted Steve, and I was like, "I quit. I'm not playing anymore." And it was just my sanity.
This game doesn't deserve to win the league. I'm done
Yeah.
with it. Never liked it anyway. I'm giving it to my brother.
Yeah, we should talk about like some of the sanity stuff that can happen in this game because I think that was like the most unique part of this game.
We were playing earlier today, and the volume on the TV, like it showed green in volume, and then it showed a bunch of bars, like it was an old CRT,
you see it,
and it's going down. I'm like, my volume bar doesn't even look like that.
I know. I get this like big brand new 2024, Sony TV, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not what that looks like anymore.
Yeah, I got that one, and I got the one that said mute in like the top right too.
Did you get the
like
one that said your GameCube controller's disconnected?
I don't think I got that one. I got a lot of them, but not that one.
I did get the one that it looks like it shuts your TV off. And by that time, I had already gotten the mute one, so I knew it wasn't really shutting my TV off, but I was in the middle of a fight, and I was like, oh no, come on, I can't see.
Pause.
Yeah, there was a kind of funny one, too, with Edward Lindsay, where when your sanity's low, you'll enter a room, and there's just, like, tons of, like, shotgun ammo on the floor, like, littered on the ground. It must be, like, at least 50 rounds. And then, like, eventually, it, like, flashes back and like into the previous room that you're in, and then you never got all that ammo. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Even funnier if all of your shotgun ammo was gone too.
There were a lot of times you'd try and run away from something, and your sanity would be low, and you'd get into the new room, and you'd like take a couple steps, and it would teleport you back into the room you were trying to leave.
Yeah.
So once I got damage barrier or whatever it is, that spell that lets you throw up a force field that hurts everything that touches it, I was like everybody's god. And like I did mess around with the runes, and I found one that was just called Spell 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like this big AoE attack.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just and then one time I trapped myself in a force field with 2 blue skeletons.
Oh no!
I'd never seen blue skeletons before.
They started going wah 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 wah
were
wah
just
wah
like-
wah.
Getting stunned, and I was like, all right, I guess they're dead or the game's glitching or something. And they blew up and they killed me. And I was stuck in a corner. I couldn't walk past them, so I was like, all right, I guess I'll just wait till they die.
They took
Take,
you
take
out.
healing
Guess
blow.
I'll just die.
Yeah, and that's another point is to save often when you play this game. So the Edwin Lindsay part is actually kind of lengthy, and I did that whole part without saving it, and I ended up dying at the end, like right when you get the Mantarok rune. I don't know what happened, but like one of those big guys with like the 3 heads.
The horror.
I was playing careless or something, and then he ended up killing me, and I didn't save it, and I had to do that part like all over again.
Is Edwin the Indiana Jones guy?
Yeah, dude, he's my favorite. He's such a Chad.
That shotgun, I was enchanting it with opposing elements, and I would take those horrors out in 2 shots. Like absolutely disgusting. Just point blank, 2 shots. I'm like, oh, what a punk.
We put enchant item on the quick assign because just so good.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, but I feel like you want to use it for all the elements though, because those horrors in particular seem to come in multiple flavors in every chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, near the end, they'll almost all be the color of the god Pi aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
So
those
another
little
reason-
trappers came at the right time.
Yeah, trappers are these little enemies that'll teleport you into another area, and you get to kind of pick what element you want to heal inside of that area, but it's almost more like a speed bump than anything.
Yeah, it is.
It actually saved me a couple times. I went to go heal up in health, and you can kind of manipulate the little teleporter by running back and forth.
So Dan would have seen this, but Don may not have. At the end of the room, the dimension that the trappers send you to, at one point you have to turn into a trapper and teleport a dead body.
Yep.
And it's
you have to send
there every time. And then later on, there's like a big dresser or something you can send, and then that's just sitting there.
I thought that was
that
neat
was cool.
too. Yeah, like the dude that like you have to transport there. I think in that room, I think that's where you get the 7-star like power thing, power upgrade. But yeah, it's kind of neat because it's like whatever you send there as a trapper will stay there for the end of the game, and that's just kind of like a nice little thing.
I'm wondering if you could teleport enemies, and then like the next time you go, if there would be a live enemy, like a horror or something.
Oh, I know,
never
right?
tried it.
Yeah, I never tried that either. That would be
I didn't
interesting.
think about it.
I wonder what else you could teleport there.
It's worth running around and finding out. Trappers are like this little scorpion thing, and they're not killable apparently.
No,
they are.
you can shoot them.
So like,
But yeah, you can shoot them.
oh really?
Yeah.
Because I was playing as Kareem, and Kareem starts with like 19 of these chakrams, which are Arabic ninja stars basically.
Frisbees.
And I wasn't using them because they were limited, and that's just how my brain works with limited resources.
Just to never use them.
Yeah, I'll just die with like 200 potions. But I saved them specifically in case I saw any of those things. He can't hit them with them.
Oh really? I don't think I've tried.
And in fact, they're pretty terrible against the big horror guys too.
Yeah.
I was like, why did they give me these?
I don't think I use them when I'm Cream.
Yeah, don't. Skipperoni.
Yeah. He gets to dual swords
Yeah, they're
eventually, like a
Tolwar's.
badass. So I've noticed, like, when you get the Book of Darkness as every character, and then each, like, subsequent time you, like, go there with another character, you can see, like, the statues on the sides of you of, like, the previous, like, owners, I guess you could say, of, like, the ones that, like, died with the book. Because if you notice that, like, Edwin Lindsay's not there, I don't think
Michael isn't there. The firefighter.
Michael's not there. Yeah.
Pius is
But
a
that
half.
further cement that, yeah, he's a half. But that further cements like why Edward Lindsay is such a Chad, because he had that book and he didn't die.
Well, I don't think Kareem died either. Right?
Well, he eventually died. Like, his statue was there. I think he died, I don't know how, maybe of old age or something. But
girl he fell in love with died and then took his soul, and they guard the essence.
Oh, I didn't realize that was him dying. I thought that was him just committing to the act of protecting the book.
Nope.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, but you can't cast spells as a character until you get the book.
The
Yeah.
book allows magic.
Right.
Well, I think it's also them remembering the previous owners of.
Yeah, it floods your
book.
mind in the story. Yeah, it floods your mind of everything, which is why like you get the new chapter and it flashes back everything. So
Yeah.
you have lived that experience once you pick up the book.
And I think it's also the reason that when you go back to playing as Alex, she can cast all the spells
That's
Right.
why I was about to say.
after finding the pages. Oh, sorry.
No, you're
Stole
fine.
your thunder there.
Yeah, so like Pius lives forever as an undead. So he's had all this time to amass all of his power. But the Book of Eternal Darkness is what allows regular good humans, like, with good intentions, to kind of stay on the same path as Pius to match his power.
It's their cliff notes.
Yeah.
Just let me tell you though that like once you like kind of like learn the formula of the game, because there's like 12 chapters, and it's like like right before you'll get the book, the screen will kind of like flutter, and you'll go into that room to grab the book. So like by like the 5th chapter, it's like I knew that it was coming. I would be like, oh, thank God, I get my spells back. Well, like when you open a door and when you see the screen flutter, you're like, yes.
I bet you really love playing as Michael Anthony. He doesn't get magic for so long. The firefighter. You get guns,
dude,
though.
but he gets like an assault rifle, like
Grenades.
and that assault rifle's broken, dude. It has like a grenade launcher on it and stuff like
Explosive
that.
rounds.
You get
It gets better than the shotgun.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
dude.
So like
And
it kills horrors in like 3 or 4 hits, like a little more than the shotgun, but it can hold 30 ammo.
Yeah, he's OP because another thing too is I don't know if he gets like the tired animation from running, because I was like running forever, dude, and he would just not like get tired.
Yeah, his stamina
So, yeah,
is pretty good.
I kind of just wish
he's
stamina
high.
wasn't in the game, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's like useless bloat.
Yeah. Extra realism,
But,
like hitting your sword against pantry cans and pickled goods and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I could die from a punch in the face.
Maximilian starts grabbing cans and hitting the thing in the face with them.
Yeah, and if these forces of evil can be slain with a sword or a those crappy pistols that Roivus has, like, man, I got bad news for you in 2025.
Tanks.
With like your average American on a certain side of the Mississippi has access to an assault rifle. So
Well,
gonna have a bad time.
yeah,
around
that's
here.
just like the regular foot soldiers, though. The gods are a lot different.
Well, one person manages to kill the god.
No,
Just saying.
that's not how it goes.
No. How does it go?
Do you want to spoil it?
No.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, I will.
Come on. It's a 23-year-old game. It's okay.
Yikes.
We spoil stuff all the time. It's a retro gaming podcast.
You're a retro gaming podcast. I mean, so you fight Pius and you have to go through this like arc reactor thing to make a giant summon spell, and you summon your god. So you're fighting Pius while your god is fighting his god. And the only way to beat his god is to kill his essence, which weakens Pius. So
yeah, you go to this underground, like, massive city.
Energa.
Yeah, and what you do is,
Which Roivus sees, right? Like Roivus sees it underneath the mansion.
yeah,
Yeah, it's under his house.
Dude, that part's annoying, especially because you have to do it twice.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah,
god.
that's my least favorite part of the game is the
But
cities.
it's easier as
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah, so I'll describe it a little bit. So when you're in this like big like city area that's underground other than the mansion, you have to light these like, was it like 8 or 9
It's a
towers?
9-point spell that you're crafting.
Yeah. So you got to teleport all around the city to activate all these towers, And so you're basically running around like for a long time, and you do this as the grandfather first.
He's
What was it?
slow.
What's his name? Edward Roivas.
Roivas.
Yeah. So you do it as him, and doing it like the first time isn't bad because it's like, all right, whatever. But then you got to do it again as Alex. I was like, are you kidding me, dude? And it's like pretty drawn out.
Well, so Edward is casting a 9-point like destruction spell, and Alex is casting a 9-point summon spell. And that's the
right.
So in the game, you get the first thing you get is a 3-point spell. It casts faster and it's weaker. Then later on, you can start casting 5-point spells, which take a little longer and are a little stronger. Eventually, you get 7-point spell, which is the strongest you can normally cast. But this city is made to cast spells of a 9-point power. So you need the 9-point to destroy the city, or a 9-point to summon your god.
Or bind.
And then, the final...
That's how you win.
Final option, your god wins. And Alex goes, oh, shit. Now we have this other god to contend with. So... You have to cast the 9-point seal or whatever it is.
Bind. Yeah, she has visions of your alignment overthrowing your world. And she's like, oh, my bad.
Yeah, I kind of thought of that too, as like when I was going through the boss fight. I was like, I low-key did think of this. I was like, what happens like when my god wins? It's just going to sit there and be merry with everybody? Like...
They're all bad.
Yeah, so I was like, and then I saw like the flashback play out, and I was like, yeah, I knew it, dude. Like,
so is Montarock your god?
No,
Montarock is like that thing that's like in the temple
with
area with like all the eyes and teeth. Yeah.
So are you automatically assigned the alliance to the god that's good against?
Yeah,
yeah, that's what you're summoning.
Okay.
Because if you summon the one that would lose, then Pius is going to win.
Right. And they kind of left off
accidentally?
like a cliffhanger too with like Mantarock, because he's still like alive, like in the temple, biding his time.
You have to beat it with all 3 alignments to know what happens to Mantarock.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Steve knows.
So what does happen to him? I thought they were setting up for like a sequel or something.
They kind of did. The alternate ending goes into say like Mantarock's still in the temple, and he chose the Roivas family because they're on Energa, which is the Forbidden City. But Mantarock's slowly dying, but now he doesn't have to contend with the other ancients.
Yeah, he played chess. He played the long game, and he was planning on taking over. So if there was a sequel, then he was probably going to be the bad guy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it was like a cliffhanger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Although he was pretty weak there for a while, right? Like at one point.
Well, he was, because Pius had the power of his god.
Right.
Yeah, and he didn't Montarock not have his own essence?
He gave it to Ilya.
Yeah.
To hide so that Pius couldn't have it.
Man, imagine that. Almost.
Very close.
Good stuff. I mean, so if it's not readily apparent from listening to this is a very, very story-driven game.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to get into it a little bit, my interpretation of it. So it's like, I kind of wish they had made a comic book or a movie instead, because I really was enthralled with the story. But like a lot of the stuff they make you do, like it's puzzle-y, but it's more like find thing, use thing. Like, yeah. And sometimes it's the reverse order. Sometimes it's like, oh, there's a thing, I gotta find the thing. Oh wait, one room over, there's the thing I need to do the thing. I'm done. It's very, very cozy puzzle solving, especially considering the subject matter of the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't put this in a puzzle category personally.
But then the action is kind of rough, right? Like the combat kind of takes a back seat a little bit because they don't want you to be able to mow enemies
Oh,
down.
I mowed enemies down.
But I got pretty. Yeah, no, I got pretty darn efficient at chopping heads off, and then one arm, and then the other arm. And
They teach you how to do that in the beginning. They say this is the best way.
I would just chop heads off and then hack them up.
Yeah,
I
that's
wouldn't
what I
bother
did, yeah.
aiming for arms or anything. I'd hit the head and then I'd beat the shit out of them.
Oh, head is always first, because if you enter a room with like 6 of them, you take heads off and you walk away, and they just sit there and they swing, and then you just deal with the other ones. Like,
yeah, that's what I did.
He did that a lot.
And then they cast invisible on yourself too. GG. Oh, there's a room full of 12 zombies? Yeah, let me mow them down real quick. That's pretty much what it was. Like, they just sit there and they're like, you could just see them, like, you know, this like invisible guy hitting them, and they're just going like this.
And the sanity stuff is neat, but like, I wish it happened more, or I wish there was more of a way for it to punish you, because like, they tell you very early on that, like, oh, if you get seen by a monster, if they look at you, you lose sanity, and then you get it back when you kill them. And it's like, yeah, take that, bastard. Like,
well,
you know,
I kind of like the give and take mechanic of it, but it kind of like becomes null and void like once you get the recover spell, because then it's just like you can always just recover like whatever you're missing out on, whether it be health, sanity, or magic.
Well, you
or
don't
whatever.
recover magic. You just get that by running around.
Yeah.
I will.
the magic one is BS, right? Like, it takes it and then gives it back. Is that?
Oh yeah,
it
it
doesn't,
does.
it doesn't gain you more.
I will be honest, if you want more sanity issues or harder ways to recover, play as Ulyaoth, because they take your magic first before they take your health. So you can't heal as often.
Or, you know, if you really wanted to experience it, just don't set the sanity restoring heal spell.
Yeah.
I mean,
I purposely like played like most of the time with low sanity because I just kind of wanted to see like what the game would throw at me with like the weird little gimmicks and glitches and whatnot.
it is worth noting that if your sanity is completely gone and something takes sanity from you, it'll start draining health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is true of magic too. On the enemies that deal you magic damage.
It could be.
Because like the blue guys take your magic,
Yeah.
and the green guys take your sanity.
If you get your magic taken and then you get hit, it's really hard to heal. So,
I mean, so there were enemies that kind of mix it up a little bit, right? Like there's the bone thief guys, and they deal you way more sanity damage than you get back from killing them. So like that was kind of interesting, because there was one chapter, I think it was Kareem's chapter, actually, where they suddenly hit you with like 3 in a row, and you have like no sanity at that point, and there's like not really much you can do. And then the game becomes, I think, what it was intended to be, and it was kind of interesting. But it's just kind of a funny mechanic that they're like, oh, this is a precious resource, sanity, and you get it back by going and killing the thing that took it from you. But it kind of slows the game down, because as a new player, you're like, oh, I don't want to go, bottom of the barrel sanity. I got to go back and get that. Like,
and finishing off enemies gets it back. But if you choose not to finish off enemies, then you can keep low sanity.
oh yeah, but I'm just saying, as a new player, doing what you're supposed to do or what the game prescribes you to do, it is kind of a funny system design wise.
Yeah, I don't know if it was necessarily like incredibly well thought out, but it is still interesting.
It's N64 thought.
Yeah, I mean, they probably had it set for N64 and never altered like the base mechanics of it.
I don't know how much time they had to do
I
it.
have no idea.
Like, I don't know, having to redo all the visuals suddenly, and I believe they added chapters. I think the game was only supposed to be like 7 or 8 chapters because of size restrictions, and then they were able to add like 4 or 5 more. So,
well, then I guess I'm glad it's on the
more.
GameCube. Because if it was only like
absolutely.
6 chapters or 8 chapters or something, then you'd be done in like 5 hours.
The good part about this game, though, is just like you could literally like pull chapters out of your ass if you wanted to. Just like, yeah, let's just make this character and that character and this character.
True. Yeah,
Like, it'd be-
like adding chapters to the game would be easy for the dev team.
Yeah,
Have a
like
samurai chapter.
yeah.
Well, then the book would have had to have made it to Japan, which they probably could have done, but the book was only ever in like
Cambodia,
Cambodia, the Middle East, and Rhode
Right.
Island.
Persia. I think it's Persia.
Yeah, somewhere. So, well, I don't know if anybody else has any more they want to talk about before we get into grading.
One last thing. So, Alicia, how do you feel it's going to do in the league?
I don't know. To me, it's top tier, but I'm a horror game person. That's really all I play besides Slay the Spire.
Eventually, of the 25 games we get, we're going to get one guest that's going to be like, yeah, it's definitely Master Ball. It's definitely going to win. I'm taking that title.
I mean, I could totally be that person,
I'll just keep asking until we get one.
Slams the desk. Master Ball. 100%.
It's better than Paper Mario. It's better.
So I just played that Paper Mario for the first time with Steve. So, and this was his first time playing this one.
I love Paper Mario.
All right. So we'll move on to the next segment. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll get into our review. We're going to say bye to LadyLyshi. And
Thank you.
do you have anything you want to plug, Alicia? I don't know if you do any kind of content
I
creation.
don't,
Okay.
but thank you.
Not sure. And if you want to talk more with her, head over to our Discord. She is hanging out over there.
Telling us all about her favorite heavy metal Disney songs.
Oh, I've got a whole list.
Actually, it was a really great topic. I had fun with that. So if you've made it this far in the podcast, you must like what you hear. And if you like what you hear, you should hit the subscribe button on whatever platform it is you are listening to. And if you're not listening and you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. We like to respond to those and talk about it and hear about the people that watch this. And of course, we do love our Discord very much. They're a great community that keep us going. Love to have these gaming talks basically every single week. Just about random topics in the Discord. We kind of alluded to it a little bit, but we spent like a good portion of last week talking about the best Disney songs that could be covered by Metallica. Just funny stuff like that. So yeah, if you're interested, consider joining our Discord as well, and you can become part of the conversation in several different ways. And head over to our website, the cableclubpodcast.com. That's your kind of center for all things Cable Club. Over there, you can see the current league standings, and you can also see the prizes that we're playing for over there as well. And join our Discord and find a place to listen to us. We post episodes every 2 weeks. All right, fellas, you ready to get into our review?
Absolutely.
Ready.
So one thing we didn't talk about were the visuals of this game too much. Like, we talked about how it's kind of Lovecraftian, and that comes with a certain connotation. And I think the gods and like maybe Pius himself and some of like the Sanity, like Bleeding Walls stuff, like I think that's pretty Lovecraftian. But I think the normal enemies, like when I read that this was intended to be an N64 game, I was like, that's why all the normal enemies look like that.
Yeah.
They're all like pretty low effort skeleton, like
Yeah, and there's
low
not many of them
quality.
either, too.
No. So there's skeletons, trappers, bone thieves, horrors, what are those guardians? They're the ones with the wings, and
Wings, yep.
then there's a different enemy based on the god you pick. That is like if you picked Ulioth, it's like this. It's like a shrimp-looking thing. If you pick Zelatoth, it's like a two-headed dog, and if you pick Chaturga, it is like a scorpion enemy. And you see that when you go to the city. It doesn't appear in any of the other areas.
Is it kind of like the mini boss or whatever
Yeah.
you're talking about? Yeah, okay.
And the only other enemy that I can think of is like the disappearing one with the monolith. You know the one I'm talking about, Dan? He keeps going down to the basement to heal. He disappears and reappears.
Yep. Yeah, he's like attacking the mansion, like the servants. Yeah.
And I think that's all the kinds of enemies. So it's only like 6 or if you count the exclusive ones, there's like maybe 8.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
They are as far as the atmosphere goes, kind of a buzzkill because they're monochromatic. First of all, so if you pick the Chaturga alignment, you're going to see like red skeletons everywhere, and then if you pick the green one, you'll see all the different groups throughout the game, no matter which alignment you pick, just different numbers of them. But like, man, the like monochromatic low poly skeletons look so goofy. Like if you compare it to something like a Silent Hill, where there's like the little children monsters that chase you around, or like the weird nurses, and I don't know, man.
So the enemies, I think they would have come out really interestingly on the N64, but making the leap into the GameCube hurt them in that aspect.
Yeah, for sure. Like it needed to bake more in the oven when doing the transition into GameCube. Yeah, because I agree. It's like they didn't really touch the enemies. I feel like the skeletons in particular, like the gray ones, like yeah, they're bad. Like as far as like polygon count goes.
I wonder how many games were like planned for the N64 and they just staved them off. Because there's this period of GameCube where it's like nothing moves right, and like this game, I kind of figured it out. Like people who have listened to this podcast for a while know that I have beef with the GameCube. That like the Nintendo mainline games are pretty much what you would expect, but everything else has this weirdness to it. And I think I figured it out. Like I played PlayStation 2 mostly. It's the console that I owned. And like when I think of games for the PlayStation 2, I think of things like Kingdom Hearts. I think of things like Final Fantasy X. Like I think of like Mega Man X8 or Command Mission. And there's like the way that the characters move in the environments in those games, and even games like Beautiful Joe. Like when Titus
that was a
in
GameCube
Final
game
Fantasy X
first
takes a step, right? Oh, true. But like when Titus takes a step in Final Fantasy X, he's like, bounding the way someone would while they're jogging, and you kind of like visually you feel his legs hitting the ground, and he's springing in, he jumps. GameCube models have this weird tendency to just like weightlessly glide through their environments and don't appear to be like moving at the pace that their walk cycle suggests.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
They don't like touch the floor with any kind of impact or reality. It's just so weird. Like, and it's a uniquely GameCube thing. I'm sitting in front of my like entertainment center here of like 9 different consoles, and this is like a very GameCube thing to me when this happens.
And you got that vibe with this game?
Yeah, God.
Yeah.
Like when you play as Royvis's ancestor, powder wig guy.
Yeah, Max. Yeah.
Like, man, what is going on with him?
He's slow.
He's like he has like half the bones that a normal human being has. He's just like drunk and walking around.
Yeah, so that is the characters all play a little bit differently. Some run faster, some run slower, some have different health they all have different like health, sanity, and magic differences. But at the end of the day, you don't ever remember a character for how good they are at something. You only remember all the characters that have bad things. You're like, oh, Max is slow, and oh, well, whoever has like no magic.
I hated those characters. The ones that had like low health and low magic. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like Sanity, I could deal with. I didn't care if it was high or low.
But unfortunately, they like they push that you have all these characters, and it's kind of samey, really. I mean, you know, all the characters, they're pretty much the same. A little bit speed differences, but like you don't notice the health differences and the sanity differences, only the magic differences, because you just have magic to heal those things that get hurt.
Yeah, magic plays like a huge part in this game. So like if you play a character with like low magic, you, in my opinion, I really felt it. And you know, like a lot of the time I found myself just like running in circles just to replenish my magic. And it's just like, you know, I didn't really particularly enjoy like doing that.
You don't get pool magic until so late.
Yeah, it's like one of the last spells you learn.
Yeah, but it's a regenerative effect on whatever element you cast. So, like, I always casted it on magic because you can use magic to heal everything else.
Right.
I did like that there. So a pro to the gameplay, I did like that there were like 9 spells, and each of the spell had a different, had 3 different elements to it. So
4.
I did like as you went through chapters and you fought bosses and stuff, like there was a preparation element because you could quick cast like 5 different spells.
Yeah.
Right. So if you were fighting a boss that was a certain color and you started to figure out what it was about, if it was throwing projectiles or whatever, you could go into your menu and you could queue up 5 of the most useful, you know, adverse element spells against that boss, which I thought was kind of neat. My gripe is that there's absolutely no customization in this game. Like, and I mean, like, not even picking your weapons. Like in Resident Evil, you could choose to take the Magnum with you or not, right? Like you could leave it with the chest. Like here, you get a character, they have their inventories or what they can pick up in their respective chapters, and then they have the book of spells, right? And every character, you know, is just what they are. There's
every character had their own specific loadout, pretty much.
Yeah, the game's really linear in a lot of ways. I don't personally find that as like a necessarily bad thing. I love Candyland just the same as I like Sorry. Like, you know what I mean? You know, one has more decisions than the other. But at the end of the day, like, most of the characters get a melee weapon and a ranged weapon, and some of them get 2 ranged weapons. So your choice, and you have spells. So your choice of customization falls under which spells you want to use and which range weapon you want to use, but not necessarily your melee weapon, because that's the only one you usually get per character.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody uses the blow gun as Ulia or whatever her name is, but you just use it in that one spot and it's bad, so you just use her scimitar or whatever.
Yeah, I use the melee weapons a ton in this game. Just to save like resources.
I actually did use the blowgun because the guy like so. This is the second chapter, so it's I didn't know how the game worked or how puzzly it was, right? But this is the epitome of what I was talking about like you find a thing, do a thing. So you start with a sword, and that's pretty good. I'd say melee attacks in this game are pretty good because you can cut the pieces off and, you know, pretty much incapacitate enemies until you want to deal with them.
It's infinitely better than like older Resident Evil for sure.
Yeah, I think it's better than most of the range weapons you get up until you get like real guns like the shotgun, and obviously the assault rifle sounds really good. But like, so you have a sword and then you fall down and your sword breaks, and you're like, oh no.
Oh no.
What am I going to do to defend myself? I don't want to go punching people. And then you encounter a guy, and you save him, and because you pick up a blow dart gun. And then he's like, oh, thank you for saving me. I can fix something for you. So I was like, yeah, no, this is an obvious video game trap. They broke my sword. I'm going to go look for something better that he could fix, like thinking there's like a better weapon later that if you haven't fixed the sword, you won't get the better weapon. So I went through that whole section with the blowgun, like killing everything because I didn't want to lose my sanity. Like it was so brutal.
Bad decision-making tree.
I mean, I would never have done that if it was like Chapter 5, because I would have known that that's how the game operates. It's like, have a problem, solve a problem.
If you fail to save him, then you have to play through with the blow dart gun.
Oh, so neat.
Funny story.
I don't know if I've saved him.
You went through with the blow dart gun the whole time?
I think so. Yeah.
So funny story is the last playthrough I did the first two or three chapters, whatever, real fast. I was like running away from every enemy, trying to speed run the chapters to get this alternate ending after completing it with all three. And I picked up the blow dart gun and I aimed it at an enemy quickly and shot, but I didn't target an enemy. I shot him and I poisoned him.
Oh.
Hurry up, fix it before you
and
die.
then I ended up dispatching the enemies and saving him in time for him to fix the weapon, but he was still poisoned. I don't know if he died. I ran away. He fixed my weapon and I was outie.
Yeah.
As Royvis's ancestor, the maids started to attack me and turn into those bone snatcher things. So I didn't have enough sanity, and I was starting to like see things. And there was one maid who was cooking with organs, but I think it's just an element of him being insane. So I just like killed her, and then he went totally insane, because if you kill a maid when you're not supposed to, it just drains your sanity to nothing. So I had to like, I entered a room and I was on the ceiling and I could explore the ceiling. I was like, is this supposed to happen? Was I supposed to? Because I really wasn't able to figure out what
it's
to do.
It's really interesting, the things that they decided to do with the sanity, but it is such a letdown that the sanity thing is fixed so easily.
Yeah.
Because that's like the biggest draw to the game. I'd say that the combat is like below medium. The story is, it's fairly par for the course. I'd say it's a little bit like weaker than Resident Evil 4, but it's better than Resident Evil 1.
Yeah, I say it's average.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was too bad.
No.
I don't know. I actually think the story's pretty good. Our conversation with with LadyLyshi,
I guess
I think
my problem with story, engaging story, is I grew up playing JRPGs and they have these huge, sprawling, long stories. But like when you put it that way, like compared to a Mario game or a Zelda game, like the story is better than those. So yeah, I'd say medium's a good place for it.
Yeah, like I kind of like was super lost in the beginning, like with like how the story was going. Like you eventually get what's happening, but I don't know about you guys, but like I was so confused, like what the hell was happening with the story in the beginning.
I think it's supposed to be that way. Like Alex would be confused reading the book for the first time.
Alex's face is permanently locked in the GameCube confusion.
And I love how she like always ends up in that like room where you find the book. Like when you like read a new chapter, it's like she's like sleep reading or something. She like ends up into that room.
She grabs the page and quickly scurries back to the room. And
Well, I mean,
I did wonder if that was just me being messed with, because I know the game does that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I remember like there was quite a few times like I would read a page and I was like, okay, I was definitely not in this room when I was like opened up this page.
So you know what game did Sanity really well, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but I feel like Silent Hill did it well, and it was like a passive background thing. Remember the elevator guys?
Oh yeah.
Where like we were exploring every floor, and then we go, and there's a fourth button, and we were like, was there always 4 buttons?
Dude, I loved how that game messed with you.
Good stuff. Yeah. Or like you went in and out of the bathroom, and it was like you went in the bathroom, came out on a different floor.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute.
it teleported you to the other dimension.
Yeah, and it just did that kind of stuff natively without having to have a bar. But I guess they needed something for the third god to do for the sanity. But that also made the green god, I think, the most important. Maybe, I don't know. You don't actually want to die, but the blue god is definitely least important. You can get by without magic. It's okay.
I don't know. I don't have a whole lot more to say. It's fairly short. It's kind of a good length, I think. I think it could stand to be just a little bit shorter. Doubling up on the cities is kind of annoying.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's tough because you end up going to this temple in wherever it is, Persia, like 4 or 5 times. Like you go as Kareem, you go as
Lindsay, Edward Lindsay.
No, that's the other one in Cambodia.
Oh, Cambodia.
In Cambodia, you go as the girl, as Edward Lindsay, and I think that's it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like you go there as like the architect guy, and then you go there
You're
as
there as
Mike.
Pius first, and then you go as the architect, and then you go again as Mike, and then I think or you're there as Kareem, like in the same place like 4 or 5 times. That's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
But the layout was different. At least with Lindsay, it was
No.
different. I mean, not like totally different. It felt similar enough, but there was...
Lindsay and Ulia had the same Cambodian temple.
Yeah, I could tell it was the same temple, but the map seemed a little bit different.
I mean, appearance-wise, it was different.
But not layout. It was the same.
Well, there were different traps and things. Like, it wasn't,
Yeah, there are differences, but like, I'm talking about the one you go to in Persia. You go there like 4 or 5 times. It's a lot.
Yeah, you do go there a lot.
And then the city twice, and then you're in the mansion in between every single time. So like, there's only like really, it feels like 4 maps.
Right. And I felt like some of the like characters that you played as was just like kind of bloaty. Like you could have took some of them out, and the story still would have felt intact.
Oh, and there's the church, which you're there 3 times.
As Anthony the first time.
Anthony, Paul Luther, and what was the World War I guy? Peter Jacobs. Yeah. So 5 maps. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot more to say. I think it did some cool things and some good things and some not so good things.
I mean, it's hard for me to judge. I'm not really a horror guy, but when did Resident Evil 4 come out? Was that 2004?
4 or 5?
Yeah, it's 4 or 5. Yeah. It's like 2 or 3 years after this.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that feels about right then. Because like I look at a game like that, and I know that was on the Cube.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, graphics are great. You really feel it. I just it's interesting because when I look at like retro gaming communities on Reddit, I don't know if they're just like rage baiting or what, but you get people that like these games from the past that nobody liked. Like again, I feel like it's got to be trolling, but you'll get people with like no irony being like, yeah, Mega Man X7 is pretty good. I kind of liked it. And you're like, no.
Mods, please delete this thread.
Yeah, like just delete this guy. He's a troll. Like, this is the epitome of a game that the devs didn't have time. The devs didn't care to make. Like, it's a bad game. Everything about it's bad, objectively.
Yeah.
Like, low quality, almost intentionally so. Like, and this game had so many lives, right? Like, it came out, sold less than 500,000 copies, which is abysmal, even for that time. The guy ended up having some legal troubles with, I think, Enix. And then he tried to start like spiritual successors to it a couple times, failed a couple times. There was a reported like sequel being made in 2018, couldn't get enough support for that. And now like suddenly it's kind of popular and hidden gemmy. And I just don't know if this is like the Reddit community coming out.
I don't know, but
like, I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's not a bad game. Like, it's definitely playable, but it's like, were people right the first 4 times about Eternal Darkness?
Gameplay wise, I don't think it's very strong, but interesting, like provoking wise, I think it did a pretty good job. I think it, for what it is, you could play, what is there, like 50,000 games out there? Like, this one's kind of unique in certain ways, which gives it some appeal.
Yeah.
But, the combat's not great.
Yeah, I got hooked with the
puzzling
story.
is weird.
Yeah. It was like you said before. It was like see thing, use thing. It's basically what it is. But, like, I actually got hooked in the story after, I would say, like, halfway through the game. So, like, it was interesting enough, for at least for me, to finish and to see how it played out.
Yeah, and also replaying it becomes more fun because, like, you get to see the differences between the different options you picked, or the main option that you picked. And then on top of that, like, I started optimizing more and running away from a bunch of stuff and letting the sanity be low and just having more fun with it rather than taking it so seriously. So
You get
Yeah.
a feel for like how you can ride it
yeah,
out.
Yeah.
You know?
I wish it was like, I mean, this probably wouldn't be for everyone's cup of tea, but I wish it was like more of like a new game plus feel. Like when you beat the game, like maybe you could have kept some of your spells or whatnot, but like you literally keep nothing in like subsequent playthroughs. It's just like dialogue changes and cutscene changes and
yeah, it would have been cool.
a little bit of gameplay changes.
I feel like if you did New Game Plus, the difficulty should get harder.
Yeah. Something like
Yeah.
that. Like it would give you like incentive to like wanting to play through the game again, because it's like when I beat the game, like I don't know. It's like I didn't really want to play through the game again, just to see like the minor changes, especially like it not like basically starting with nothing again.
Yeah.
It's like it didn't change enough for me wanting to play it again.
But on the plus side, like I could get through the game in probably like 8 hours. So I mean, it's not like this huge ask either.
Yeah.
No, I think pacing wise, it's actually pretty good. Like no one chapter is super long, or at least the parts that I got to, I didn't find anything dragged. But you guys said the city section kind of sucks because you got to do it a couple times.
It's not necessarily long. It's just tedious.
Well, it's tedious because you keep running back to the same room and then teleporting out and then getting into a different room with some kind of a challenge, whether it's a physical challenge or a puzzle challenge, and then you have to.
You've chosen the physical challenge.
And then you have to run back to that room again and teleport to another tower, which then teleports you to an area with a different challenge. So, I mean, it's not like it's tedious in the way that they're having you do the same exact thing, but the part where you're running back to that room is the annoying part.
Do you find the game challenging? Like hard?
No, I didn't really feel that was that hard. I probably died only a handful of times, really.
The only times I died were, I mean, every now and then you have like just a random death, but the times that I died a lot were the 3/4 the way through boss fight, figuring those out, and the final boss the first go around. After I figured out the final boss on my first playthrough, the other final boss fights were like they're the same, and once you know it, you know it.
Yeah, and I also had like a fair amount of deaths where I was just being careless and I got caught off guard. Like if I was playing more cautiously, like some of the deaths that I had should never have happened in the first place.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's difficult.
Would you guys also say that horror games, generally speaking, are kind of on the harder scale compared to relative games as a whole? Like it's easier to die.
I don't think it's like if you take like Resident Evil for example, I think like the difficulty comes from like resource management. Like if you're pretty good at like managing your resources, then like usually the game's kind of a cakewalk. This game, that's not really much of that at all because like your melee weapon's good. You got magic, which is infinite essentially because you can regain your magic by walking. So
I would say in horror games, it depends on what you're putting them against. I think the game that's easiest to die in is a first-person shooter, but then I think horror is pretty close behind that.
Yeah, maybe it's just me because I kind of associate horror games with being a little bit more challenging or like they want to kill you more often. So I played this game carefully, and because I did that, I like that the challenge just wasn't there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not.
I was able to dog walk enemies.
It's not difficult, but I think that that's a good thing. I think this is like a really good choice for somebody to get into more horror-based themed video games. Like my daughter is 12 now, and she's interested in trying this, and I think it might be like the perfect segue for her age group to play something like this.
Yeah, it's not overly graphic or overly bloody either.
Right.
Like
It's not Silent
like or an Evil Within kind of thing.
So, there's a level in the Evil Within. I beat that game where it's kind of near the end of the game, and you're like in this like insane place, and the walls are made of flesh, and you're walking through blood that's like knee high, and it's just ridiculous. So yeah, it's not like that at all. This game.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Yeah, my heart beats for you.
Bleeds for
Yep.
you.
I think I hit everything that I wanted to talk about.
yeah, same.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready to rate this one? Then we'll get it over into the league.
Let's rate it.
All right, and here we are in the league. So I have up in front of me what looks like a tier list because it's on tiermaker.com where people typically make tier lists. However, this league is a little bit different in the sense that these aren't tiers in a traditional aspect. They are cups. So at the end of this league, we're going to award some prizes. 2 games in each cup. We're going to have 5 games per cup and 5 cups. So that means every time we reach an interval of 5 games, this is game number 9, we're going to have to create a new cup. And the game of the episode goes into a cup, and if that cup is full, then we have to move a game up or shift things around and kind of debate and yell at each other to get where we need to be. So, and the prizes, I don't know if you've had a chance to check them out, but you can head over to our Discord and look there. And they're these awesome golden cartridges with secrets inside.
They look
Came
nice.
out amazing. The Master Ball prize is still TBA. Top secret. All right, fellas. So let's ask. I know Steve's going to be a little biased. If he knows what's good for him.
It's Valentine's Day, boys.
Is Eternal Darkness starting in the Pokeball tier?
Not quite.
Yeah, not for me either.
I would agree.
I had a lot of fun playing it, but I was also playing it with my wife, and we all know that playing games with people is more fun than playing alone.
I think it has a lot going for it. I just don't think it's better than some of these other games that are here.
Same. But it's not going to stay in Apricorn. At least for me, it wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to get some crazy games, I think, for the rest of the year in order for that to stay in Apricorn tier.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I had fun with this game. Like, in the beginning, I wasn't so sure, but the more I played it, the more I had fun.
Yeah, the more spells you get, the more fun it is.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to pick 2 games that I think should move up. I think it's Donkey Kong Country 2, and I think it's Legend of Dragoon.
Same for me. Same exact 2 that I would pick.
Have we decided whether we could pick our own games or not?
If there was a tie, like a 3-way tie.
If we run into a ridiculous thing like we did last week.
So for me, obviously it'd be criminal for Donkey Kong to not move up.
Well, spoiler, Donkey Kong was both Dan and I's first pick, so Donkey Kong is definitely moving up. It doesn't matter what you say, but we're just interested in hearing it.
Okay, well, out of these games, I think it's between Pokemon Gold and Silver and probably Legend of Dragoon.
Wait. That means Legend of
no.
Dragoon goes up.
Yeah, but I can't pick my own game.
That's how it works, dude. That's why Pokemon's still in there too.
Yeah, it
Not true. Steve and I have not picked Pokemon.
I'd be picking Pokemon if I could. I just can't.
I know, but like, I'm sorry, Diddy's Conquest is a very strong game, and Legend of Dragoon's not a very strong game. Like,
Chef Doug would be proud.
Look how wonky this is getting. It's so funny.
nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
All you Donkey Kong fans, I'm sorry.
I have a strong feeling that it's probably going to be the next game to move up, so don't worry, Steve.
We tried, Dan. We did.
Yeah.
Steve defeated it, I think, out of spite because I said it didn't matter what he said.
Well, no, I think I like Legend of Dragoon more than ActRaiser, more than JJ Squawkers, and just a little bit more than Eternal Darkness, but not by much. And, you know, in my opinion, Donkey Kong Country 2, like, this is just personally for anybody listening, is like just barely behind Paper Mario on this list for my personal taste. So,
Wowie wow. I feel honored.
well, I love Paper Mario, but I knew you wanted to pick it, so I did not.
Oh, it's so good. Imagine if you scooped me like that. I don't know if our friendship would have survived.
Podcast would have been over.
And before we bury the remains of Eternal Darkness, this is what we thought, but let's hear from our community. We had 2 people write in about Eternal Darkness who gave it a shot. We had Lysianthia, said he didn't get to play it a lot this time around, maybe an hour or 2, but from what I did play, it felt like the game really wants to be Resident Evil with a combat system that's reminiscent of the older games and a similar puzzle scheme of find item, use item in correct place. Wish I got more into the meat of it to see more of the story and horror aspects, though. I'd say that pretty much echoes a few of our sentiments here.
Yeah.
And then JMO says, Eternal Darkness's fear-based hallucinations are iconic, but what kills me about the system is how easy they are to avoid early in the game. Just keep using items to replenish your sanity meter, and you'll miss out on the feature that makes the game noteworthy. I never got past the first few levels, so maybe these become more pervasive as the game goes on, but if you're good at the game, you might never even realize just how clever it truly is. Usually the opposite is true with good game design.
Yeah, he hit the nail on the head with that one. Like, the most unique feature is pretty easy to avoid, honestly.
You guys mentioned sanity traps that I didn't see.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few of them. Like I said, I purposely played with low sanity a lot of the game because I wanted to see what the game would throw at me.
Right? So, setting aside Eternal Darkness, we're going to move on to pick our new game for 2 weeks. And this game was selected by Brandon Hurls of the Game Junction podcast. And he has picked for us a sports game.
Oh, what? No way.
But sit back down if you're standing up, because this is a sports game played by super fighting robots. Number 1 sport in Europe, it is Mega Man Soccer for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh boy.
Have you guys played this one?
I've played this game probably a grand total of like 10 minutes. So it's pretty much new for me.
I've never played.
Yeah, right. So you thought you've played every Mega Man game.
Almost.
Here comes Mega Man Soccer. So tune in 2 weeks where we have Brandon on and we talk about Mega Man Soccer and enter it into this league. But for now, game over.
Game over.
Game over.